Yesterday for Christmas, I shared a visual from the movie Hacksaw Ridge to give us a reason to celebrate something more this Christmas season. And although it's fun, I had a great time last night with my nieces, opening up lots of presents. It's fun to celebrate Jesus' birthday because we get all the presents. It's a great deal. It can be life-changing for us if we celebrate something more. And that something more that I shared yesterday is that the Christmas story is God breaking into our lives. God breaking into this world for one reason: to rescue us. So just as Desmond Doss from the movie, he became a combat medic and he went to Japan for one purpose: to rescue others, to prove to these men that there was a man who believed that these men were worth rescuing. The same thing is true with Jesus. Jesus became a man, went to Bethlehem for one reason: to rescue us, to prove to us that there is a man, the God-man, Jesus, who believes that we are worth rescuing. And that is the Christmas story. And as I shared yesterday, it can all be summarized in just 4 words: I am worth rescuing. That is the Christmas story. So when you look at the crib, when you think of Bethlehem, that's God breaking into this world so that you may know I am worth rescuing. And when you look at the cross, when you think of the extent to which God went to save us from eternal death, you should think, I am worth rescuing. And so that's the Christmas story. Because the fact is, we are all living on Hacksaw Ridge. This is enemy-occupied territory. That is what this world is. Ever since the fall of Adam and Eve, this world has become enemy-occupied territory. And so Christmas is the good news. To understand that good news, you have to realize that there is bad news. Then the good news becomes life-changing when you can realize that God broke into this world to rescue us. That should fill us with gratitude and joy that goes beyond presents and a food coma. That is the something more. And so today I have a different question for you. But I'd like just to ask this question to a select group of people. Because there was a former American evangelist, his name's Billy Sunday. He said, going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to your garage makes you a car. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to your garage makes you a car. Because the fact is, to be a Christian, you have to be a follower of Christ. You have to truly want to follow him. And to prove that by obeying the commandments that he's set up. And so for those who haven't experienced this, who are not following the Lord, that's okay that that's where you're at in the journey. There should be no shame in that. But you can just, maybe for the rest of the homily, just think about that experience from yesterday. Think about what it would be like just to cry out for someone to rescue you. And think about what it could actually be like for you if you experience Jesus with his own bloody hands taking you and putting you on his shoulders and carrying you home. Because I experienced that 10 years ago through the sacrament of confession. That is what happens through the sacraments. So for those who have experienced being rescued and who really want to follow the Lord, I ask you a question. So what should you and I do in response to being rescued by God? What is a reasonable response to God breaking into our worlds and rescuing us from eternal death? What would a good response be like? Well, the best response I've ever heard came from Father John Riccardo. He summarized it all in just 4 words again. Rescued people, rescue people. Rescued people, rescue people. Jesus wants those who have been rescued, the rescued people, to help him rescue others. And to give you a visual of this, I'll go back to the movie Hacksaw Ridge. So spoiler alert, if it's on your upcoming movie list, but after the 75 men were rescued by Desmond Doss, these men really wanted to get back into battle and win the war. And so Captain Glover, awesome scene, he goes to Desmond Doss, and speaking on behalf of the 75 who were rescued, he says this to Doss: "What you did on that ridge is nothing short of a miracle, and they want a piece of it, and they're not going to go up there without you." And this final scene is just so good. They're all on the beach, and you hear this air raid, and then a call comes in, and I'll say exactly what happens. The captain, he gets a call from the guy who just put in the air raid, and he says, "What the hell is your delay, Captain? You were supposed to begin that assault 10 minutes ago." "We're waiting, sir." "Waiting for what?" "For Private Doss to finish praying." "Who the hell is Private Doss?" And then the captain says to all the 75 with Doss, "Let's go to work." And this final scene is so epic, in which Doss leads the way for these men to go into battle, and they capture Hacksaw Ridge and win the war. Now for us, we're not fighting a physical battle like Doss. We're fighting a spiritual battle. And we know there's one enemy in this spiritual battle. We have to be really clear about who we're fighting against. Politicians? No, okay? Name someone else you might be angry about right now who just put out, I don't know, certain health measures. That's not the enemy. Who is the enemy? Satan. Satan is the enemy of the human race. And his goal, what is his goal? To prevent us from being rescued. That's the number one goal of Satan, to prevent us from being rescued. That's his goal. And there's no war more important than this. We can fight COVID, and good for us to fight it. But all of us one day are going to be 6 feet under. Seamus, you and me, we're going to be in a box 6 feet under one day. Probably sooner than most people, because we had a really bad past of drinking and stuff, you know? All of us one day are going to be 6 feet under. And we're all going to see one of two faces, Seamus. You know it. And you know those two faces. And they're going to say the exact same words to you and me. We're going to see one of them. And they're going to say, "You are mine." I'll let you think about that. So we need to be ready to fight this spiritual battle. Like Desmond Doss, Jesus actually wants to lead the way in the charge for us to fight the war. And he's with us, and he wants to lead the way. And we got to have some weapons. We heard what these weapons are in the second reading. As I read the list of 7 to you of what we heard in today's second reading, think about like clothing yourselves with spiritual armor for battle. As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, forgiveness, love. These are the weapons that God wants us to be clothed with for battle. Compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, forgiveness, love. These are weapons that everyone here can use to exercise, regardless of what age, regardless of where you're at. These are weapons that all of us can use. So rescued people rescue people. That is the response to what God has done in the lives of those who have been rescued. That is a reasonable response. To realize that Jesus says, "I'm leading the way. Are you with me?" And if you have been rescued, you want to say, "Yes, I really want to be with you. You're going that way, so let me follow you. I can't wait to go to church to experience the strength that I need, so that when I say, 'Go forth, the mass is ended,' you're actually being sent out on mission to rescue people. That is the mission. That is the purpose of life. That is the experience of those who have been rescued. Rescued people rescue people.